Welcome back to Worlds 2020. Now, while the LCS and the LEC still bow to the pillars of our regions, the TSMs, Fnatics, G2s, and TLs, LPL has turned a corner. This year, there are 4 brand new teams storming Worlds. This is Top Esports. Now, debuting in 2017, Top Esports acquired the spot and roster of a team called Dan Gaming. It had an egg in its logo, and that was basically the best thing about it. Dan Gaming actually at one point held the worst record for longest loss streak in LPL history. And clearly, things have turned around as the org is now the first LPL team, and it really came to a head with 3 special ingredients. Now, you've heard his name 100 times, and you're sure to hear it 100 more. Knight is the golden left hand, the best mechanical mid laner in the world. Syndra god, Nocturne mid savant, this kid does it all. But he's just now making his international debut because he wasn't enough to rule the LPL. Any team has talent, but you need heart. I joke, but only lightly. Like every offseason, there were huge roster shuffles globally, but few locked in on Karsa leaving RNG to join TOP and create one of the most dominant mid-jungle duos in the LPL. Karsa's facilitating style empowers his talented laners to focus on what they do best, destroying their opponents. And if this man is in the pit, he is getting the objective. This is Beastmaster Karsa. And yet, TES were still denied a Worlds 2019 debut by the LPL Old Guard. They needed that secret sauce, that brain. Leaving IG after hoisting the Summoners Cup was a big question mark, but pending contract complications, JackeyLove landed on TES and with him brought shot calling and leadership, as well as that prodigy performance LPL fans had come to expect. With these 3 pieces, TES truly gapped their opponents. They're the muscle of the LPL, reminiscent of Invictus Gaming and just as dangerous. This roster didn't come out of nowhere. This has been a long time coming, and TES are ready to show the world that they're good enough to bring it home. It's TES versus Unicorns Up Love. Casters, take it away!
Thank you very much, Frosk, and what an introduction we have had to TES. Of course, already 2-0 in their group, looking to make it 3. I'm Medic, this is Vedius, and we're here for the final 3 games of the day.
And I'm really hoping Knight gives me another Nocturne mid lane. I've literally been preparing my whole life for that one moment, and I'm sad I didn't get to cast ES today, but Knight, come on. You can do it for me. And of course, when you're going up against the Unicorns of Love, maybe they'll bring it out. Like, they've both been experimenting a little bit in the draft. We've been seeing a wide array of new picks that, honestly, we didn't really come to expect coming into the World Championship. You know, things like the Lulu top lane. We got to see a little bit of Swain bot from Gadget during play-ins.
Also brought out Orianna in the bot lane. You know, Gadget is a player who is very inventive and very exploratory in his champion pool. He picks out a lot of mages, also has some of those AD carries in his back pocket. So when we come into this draft, I don't think everything is going to be the gold standard, the Orns only, the Nidleys only. I think we might see something just a little bit spicy here, Vedius.
Well, at least that's what we're hoping. You know, Unicorns of Love have been struggling. Of course, this is a very difficult group with one of the tournament favorites in, of course, Top Esports that they are now going up against. So they had a close game versus FLICKR yesterday, very back and forth, a lot of fights that could have swung either way, and unfortunately it was Nomanz that suffered at the hands of Power of Evil during the laning phase, and outside the laning phase he was really shut down. And against Knight, I can't say that it's going to be much easier. Not that he is necessarily a player that's going to look to kill you in lane, but he is very proficient in the laning phase, and any small mistake that you make, Knight will definitely be sure to punish if he gets that opportunity.
And what we have seen is how much mid lane can influence the jungle matchup as well. Like, AHaHaCiK is on his 3rd consecutive tournament representing the CIS region. He's going to be playing into Karsa, who has had both the Nidalee and the Graves and has been able to get into the enemy jungle and really start taking away some of those camps. So AHaHaCiK here will want a good matchup. Hecarim has been a key pick for him across the course of the CIS playoffs and of course in play-ins. So that is top 1 we have to look out for, and immediately Top Esports is going to say, well, Vedius, you talked about it. The Swain is having no place in this game.
They're actually just going to ban it away. Okay, fair enough. Respect being shown over towards the Unicorns of Love. The Nidalee going to be taken away from Karsa. Fair enough. Wow, that's a lot of the Kassadin being banned out as well. So Top really trying to mitigate some sort of, like, some of the draft creativity that Unicorns of Love have been bringing out in the tournament so far.
And I do really like this, because I think Top are saying, you know, we can beat you if we have even matchups. We can beat you if you don't bring a curveball to the equation. We trust our hands to be better than your hands on the day. So let's get rid of some of those curveballs. Let's get rid of some of those a little bit more eclectic picks, more eccentric picks, and make sure you have to match up to us man to man.
Let's see what the final ban is. Of course, a lot of power picks are still up and available. With the Renekton being taken off the board, things like the Ornn are free for Boss to grab if he wants to. Things like the Ashe are still up and available. A wide array of supports are free for the choosing. Lucian as well. Something that I feel like UOL almost have to ban away. You cannot afford to give Knight such a potent and powerful champion in the current meta, especially when so many AP champions are up and available. And okay, let's see.
Yeah, order. There's the Lucian insta-lock. We'll look across towards the other side. We have to expect Boss is going to want to pick the Ornn here for the Unicorns of Love. The Forge God in the top lane has been ubiquitous with League of Legends so far here at the World's Championship, and just gives your team so much flexibility when it comes towards those team fights.
Of course, there is the risk of picking it blind into 369. We know that he is a very, very prominent Camille player, and will definitely pick that into the matchup if he gets the opportunity. Also, something that we haven't been seeing a huge amount, Sylas into the Ornn. Very common over in the LCK, but I think it's a great matchup, and it would diversify the damage portfolio from Top Esports as well. So we'll have to wait and see what direction they do go. It is, in fact, UOL that's going to preemptively lock in that Camille. With the Renekton taken off the board, they're saying, you know what, we'll give you the Ornn, potentially, or if you lock in that Ornn, then we're going to have a winning matchup up towards the top side. So they're putting a bit of faith in Boss, who honestly was one of the highlight players for me during the play-ins. I think he did have a great performance there, and we'll see what he can do on this Camille.
And he is a well-known Camille player. Played it a lot in the CIS, 100% win rate on it, but have to remember the Unicorns only lost one game in the entirety of summer, so most of the champions they have played were 100% win rates. And now we'll see Karsa locking in the Gragas. Can go jungle, could be flexed down towards support, and there is the Jax into Camille matchup. Two scaling carries in the side lane.
Yeah, so of course the problem with blind picking the Camille is that it then gives Top Esports to get the counter matchup.
Yep.
So they're going to be sitting quite comfortably with this Jax up in the top side of the map. You have AD with the Lucian, you have AP with the Gragas, and then you have Jax, who kind of does a bit of both. And we're going to get the AHaHaCiK Karthus in the jungle.
So that is possible. But I'm super excited because Gadget has played Syndra, Karthus, both in the bot lane through the regular season for the Unicorns of Love. So there is still some flexibility to this draft. Expectations are Syndra mid, Karthus jungle, but we could see one of those given to Gadget in the bottom lane.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. For now, supports are going to be banned off the board. They're removing some of the potent supports that are great at getting onto champions like the Syndra as well. I think as well the yuyanjia, I'm quite familiar with his Leona, definitely a very skilled one, so perhaps a bit of a respect ban as well. Gadget's going to have his Twitch removed, of course. Top Esports, for the time being, assuming that the AD carry has not yet been locked in for top. Of course, still keeping that flexibility open. If they do want to move that Karthus down towards the bot lane, you would imagine that the support would be locked in next. But again, so much left to still be desired. Let's see if UOL take something like the Nautilus off the board if they want to focus. The Pantheon. Still very aggressive, high roaming, high impact in the laning phase. Perhaps UOL want to grab themselves the Nautilus as it would provide a solid front line, which is something that they're lacking right now.
Definitely agree with you there, Veddy. So you want a little bit of a meatball at the front of your team composition, mostly, of course, for tanking in team fights, but also for face checking as the game goes on. If you need to walk into a Jax, a Lucian, a Gragas, you want someone tanky to be the front of the attack. There's the Alistair getting taken away from Santos. We've already seen him play that a few times across the course of Worlds. And now the Unicorns probably looking towards their support pick.
Let's wait and see Alistair taken off the board. If it is the Nautilus, then you would imagine that Top Esports have something prepared for it. Top have been playing a lot of Senna. Well, JackeyLove has only played Senna so far in the group stages, but I think that he is probably the best Senna that I think I've seen in the world. He is still hyper aggressive on the champion, showcases what you really can do with the champ even at early levels.
Do you want to know some cool JackeyLove on Senna stats?
I believe you have some.
Yesterday, he did 49.6% of his team's total damage to enemy champions.
Yes.
On Senna.
Now, I will say, when playing with a Nocturne mid, that may have been skewed by the fact that Nocturne doesn't do a lot of damage.
We could say that. You know what would clarify it? His damage per minute numbers, Vedius.
It would.
He did 905 damage a minute, which was 200 damage a minute more than the closest Senna at this world. So yes, it was skewed, but Vedi, this guy is a monster.
Yes, he is. And that's the key takeaway here. JackeyLove, I still believe, is the best Senna player in the world. Hyper aggressive on a champion that many typically play to scale, and the 2v2 is where he is most deadly. But perhaps the Unicorns of Love have prepared for this. Perhaps they know that the Senna is going to come out. Perhaps they want to pick the Karthus into that Senna. Let's wait and see as the Unicorns of Love are looking to lock in that final pick.
Just a small smirk on the face there as they look for this final pick. Lee Sin is the hover. And it's going to be AHaHaCiK taking the Lee Sin jungle. So, AP in the bottom lane in the form of Karthus alongside Nautilus. AP in the mid lane in the form of Syndra. And then some physical damage on the top side of the map with Lee Sin jungle and Camille top.
Now, of course, Medic, we've seen this quite a few times domestically. The EU Masters, they've been playing a lot of Karthus bot lane. They've been playing all kinds of crazy stuff down the bot lane, but as you rightly said, Gadget, it could also still be the Syndra bot lane. We still have to wait and see what that final lock-in is. Will the Swippy swap come on through? I really think they should keep the Syndra mid as the answer to the Lucian.
I agree with that. I think yes.
Okay, yes.
Just a final moment swap there.
Yes, so we're going to get to see the Karthus bot. This is going to be very exciting. Hyperscaling AP champion that, in theory, could match up well into the Senna, because what we'd normally say is Senna doesn't pressure you that hard during the laning phase, but this is no ordinary Senna. This is, of course, JackeyLove Senna. So we shall see how Gadget fares in the bot lane. It's going to be an exciting one. UOL are reverting back to utilizing some of their innovative drafts to try and get a big upset win over one of the tournament favorites.
And it would be a huge upset, as you say, Vedius. First time for the CIS region on the group stage of Worlds since Albus Nox Luna all those years ago. And we all remember just how incredible Albus Nox were, making it to quarterfinals in 2016. Beating out CLG 2-0, taking a game off G2, taking a game off Rox Tigers. This would be as Herculean a task as the one accomplished by Albus Nox all those years ago. Of course, Top Esports on the other side, looking to make it 3-0 in their group. We've only ever seen one team go 3-0 and not make it through the group stage, C9 back in 2015. So the expectation is Top Esports continue to solidify themselves as a favorite in the tournament if they can complete this round robin undefeated.
Certainly is the case. We're going to be jumping into Game Medic. I'm very excited to see how this early game plays out. Syndra plus Lee Sin has always been considered a strong 2v2 mid jungle, and if you're willing to be aggressive, you can get a lot off the back of it. Of course, you're playing against a Lucian Gragas. The thing about Lucian is he's just so powerful in the early laning phase. Sometimes you can't take advantage of some of your strong 2v2 matchups, so we'll see how they do. And of course, you have to keep your eyes on the top lane matchup as well. Jax into Camille. When you speak to many top laners, they'll actually tell you the early laning phase is actually quite a skill-intensive matchup, and the better top laner can actually come out ahead on either side. So we'll see how Boss holds his own against 369, who is considered one of the best top laners in the world. I love the meme that he either rolls a 3, a 6, or a 9, depending on his performance, and we'll see what he brings to the table today.
Do love those D&D references here in the LEC, well, as part of the LEC Karsa team. And Unicorns of Love looking for a level 1. We have seen a lot of these videos. It feels like level 1 has kind of dictated the pace of a lot of games across the course of Worlds, and it becomes increasingly more important to spot out the enemy jungler and perhaps take some of these skirmishes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's well, actually, what do I think? I think that... Well, I was going to say that I would be a little worried about Karthus invading early. However, Karthus probably has one of the best level 1s in the game because of how much damage his Q can actually do. The problem is the amount of mana that you would end up investing to actually make that happen. And I wonder if he wants to do that. But let's have a look at Gadget here. You can see that he is sitting on this ward right now as Santos is assisting with the pull. Perhaps he just wants to get a little bit of early poke down. Notice that he is running the Dark Harvest. Yeah, he's just looking to get a little bit of damage, zoning away the yeah, he's just being really obnoxious. But that's that level 1 damage that I was talking about. They obviously didn't go for the invade, but delaying them getting into lane, allowing Santos to get that first hit means that Gadget and Santos should actually be able to get this early push here, which is going to be very valuable for the 2 versus 2.
Hook just goes wide as Santos doesn't quite connect onto yuyanjia, who's been chunked down to about half HP. We'll bring to your attention that Tahm Kench once again is running Hail of Blades here for the extra ability to stack up Devour quickly.
We did see that from Mickey in the G2 game yesterday, and it can be quite oppressive in the early laning phase. But against this Karthus and, I'm forgetting the name, Karthus and Nautilus bot lane, not a normal bot lane that obviously we usually see. Yeah, I'm curious as to how it's going to work out. Obviously means it's very easy to apply those passive stacks from the Tahm Kench and then get those secondary effects. You'll notice that he is running the exhaust as well, so perhaps mitigating some of that early playmaking power that this bot lane could have with Gadget and Santos.
Knight's going to get knocked back here with the Scat of the Week. Karsa stepping in towards the Unicorns of Love jungle just above him. Going to steal away these Razor Beaks. Knight got pushed on the early waves and was able to get that ward in there. Hook's going to land in the bottom lane, but Santa's forced away. Last Embrace, very good at disengaging the Nautilus because you don't want to be overstepped as you get lassoed up.
You can see that Gadget and Santos keeping the pressure up though. I think that they want this wave to bounce back because you'll notice that AHaHaCiK is up towards the top side of the map clearing out his Krogs. This is going to force 369 to reset because there's a real risk of... Ooh, he's actually cancelled that. This is a great opportunity for UOL.
AHaHaCiK going in, boss going to land the stun. 369 has the flash, has the counter strike. He's going to dodge a few shots, gets the double stun off, but AHaHaCiK is still on the chase and first blood to the Unicorns.
Really nicely done there with AHaHaCiK as we see a stun come through onto Knight, but Nomanz, of course, running a teleport, not going to have a kill threat of something like an Ignite, and we'll just get a bit of chip damage. But what was great there from AHaHaCiK was how he used the ward to fake out the Q usage, and even if 369 flashed, he could still chase him down. So honestly, just really smart play there coming in from the Lee Sin to help get that first blood for UOL.
Now AHaHaCiK is just shadowing around this mid lane. Knight is quite low. Nomanz has the stun. Karsa's down towards the bottom side, looking for the counter gank, or perhaps just a gank of his own, as Knight relentlessly pursues his touch. Goes back. There's the Scat of the Week, and AHaHaCiK looking for the Sonic Wave. Won't be there in time, and Karsa has parted his way down towards the bottom scuttle to make sure he can get both of those on this first rotation.
Now, some of you, like me, may have been thinking, why didn't AHaHaCiK flash in and Q the Lucian to get that execute? That's because, unlike me, AHaHaCiK recognized that Knight had heal, and I would have died in that play. But fortunately, AHaHaCiK is smarter than me and didn't overcommit, and instead was just there to cover, but now Nomanz could be in danger.
Yeah, Knight uses the heal for a bit of extra movement speed. Nomanz flashes away. Karsa, though, can still chase this, misses on the barrel roll, and so Nomanz will just be able to retreat back towards his own jungle.
Notice that Nomanz was forced to flash the moment that Karsa used his E because there was the risk that Karsa could flash and then E at the very end as Santos does land a hook.
Gonna get the route onto yuyanjia here, and AHaHaCiK is on the way as well. JackeyLove trying to heal himself up. yuyanjia caught out. There's the heal. JackeyLove forced back as AHaHaCiK goes very low. Last Embrace doesn't quite connect, and Santos will be able to dredge line to safety.
Will force a lot of summoner spells out from the top esports bot lane though, and I like this aggression that we're seeing from AHaHaCiK. Constantly looking for ganks on the Lee Sin. It's largely what you need to do, trying to get your laners ahead, and when going up against a team like Top Esports, getting those early advantages is going to be extremely valuable because as this comp gets later into the game, once they complete their major core items, you know this comp is only going to get scarier. So I respect this aggression coming out from UOL, definitely something that they need to do, and while they didn't get a kill in that bot lane play, it sets them up for a kill a little bit later on. Gadget working towards that level 6 mark where he's going to have so much more power because of his ultimate.
Unicorns of Love were a very fast-paced team in their home region. Almost a kill a minute in their games on average, Velius, so it's unsurprising that they are trying to be as explosive as possible here. Gadget fell just a little bit behind in CS as AHaHaCiK has been spotted on a ward on this top side. Looks like he's just shadowing Nomanz. Santos is here as well, so perhaps looking to see if they could catch out Knight, but the Lucian still has his dash, still has his flash. It's a very difficult mid laner to gank.
Props to Nomanz, though. I was a little concerned about him going into this matchup because he really did struggle yesterday against Power of Evil, but he has got himself a CS advantage in the 1 versus 1. I think that the assistance that AHaHaCiK was able to provide for him really helped him. And we can see that you're actually sitting at a small gold advantage. Probably not going to mean a huge amount over the next few minutes, but it does mean that you can see double longsword completed for Boss, working closer towards that Tiamat. And one of the cool things I do like about Camille is that once you get the early Tiamat, you get a little bit more pushing power. She can look for roams into the mid lane. And when you have a Lucian plus Camille plus Syndra, that's how you kill the Lucian. So I definitely think that there are options there for UOL if they're up for keeping that aggression going.
Right now, Knight is just going to force Nomanz back underneath his tower. We've seen Gadget recall. He went Sorcerer's Shoes and Amplifying Tome as Unicorns of Love look to utilize the fact that 369 does not have his flash. Now, 369 has the ult, has the Counter-Strike available. There's the Sonic Wave, the dash in with a hookshot. Hexagonautomatum coming out as AHaHaCiK looks to jump back into this fight. 369, very healthy, empowered auto attack. And AHaHaCiK feels the brunt of 369. Boss now trying to trade, but 369 is having none of this. In a 2v1, the Dawning Shadow to help him out. Chases down Boss. Corrupting Potion's not going to be enough damage.
Wow. I was looking at that play and thinking, AHaHaCiK is only level 5. There's a real world where he could die here. No flash on Nomanz.
Karsa flashes in and knocks him back with the barrel, and Top Esports get 2 quick kills. Here's the Requiem though, and Knight can really only pray to some miracle to keep him alive.
Okay, so UOL are at the very least able to get something back. Now they're going for the all-in bot.
Hook lands onto JackeyLove. yuyanjia there to gobble him up and spear him out. Karsa's very low though, as AHaHaCiK looks for the kill. He's ticking away, but Karsa, with the refillable potion, will keep himself healthy enough.
Wow, okay, so a lot of aggression across the board, and props to 369. When I was looking at that gank, the first thing I thought of was AHaHaCiK is not level 6.
Yep.
Lee Sin without completed warrior enchant, honestly, not that scary. So I love the fact that 369 recognized if he just focuses his 1v1 onto AHaHaCiK, he can win this. The problem for AHaHaCiK is he realized too late that he shouldn't re-engage here. The cooldowns on Jax's Q and W are not that long, and he was able to get that turnaround, and he almost got this extra 1v1 as well, if it wasn't for the fact that Boss just got his E up in time. You can see how low he actually got there, so very well played there by 369. Gonna make that matchup a lot easier for him now that he's completed the phage.
The stacking passive, the extra attack speed you get on Jax as you auto-attack enemies, and the Empower just do so much work in fights like that. You get an Empower off every 4 seconds, you can just shred through your opposition, and when we see 369 get the Trinity Force, get the Sheen, that's only going to become even more of a terror. JackeyLove here, trading in the bottom lane, knows that Gadget doesn't have a huge amount of mana, so can be pretty aggressive. Nomanz trying to push out here, but you can see Top Esports once again look to see if they can find a gank. Instead, Karsa will go up towards the top side. Can just look for the Rift Herald himself as the Unicorns of Love are going to start up the Dragon.
So this will be the first Drake of the game. Of course, ever since we've moved into international competition, average Drakes have kind of moved much later and later, largely because the bot lane matchups have been a little bit harder, and also AP junglers as well. Don't quite take it as fast as many others do, or previous junglers did in the past. So we can see just a trade in objectives. I think that Karsa quite quickly recognized, hey, because our bot lane needs to reset, there's a good chance that UOL will look to take the first Drake, so we'll just trade this objective, and nothing is really gained or lost for either side. This will, of course, mean that Top Esports have the ability to secure a bunch of plates. They can check that top side if they want, try and funnel more gold and resources into 369, or they can use it in the mid lane to try and break open that early tower. They kind of have a lot of options. Meanwhile, UOL, they're going to be working towards that potential for Drake win condition as they continue to scale and ramp up throughout this game.
Something we can see that's developed over the last few minutes of action are some CS leads for Top Esports. 15 farm ahead for 369 in the top lane. Jungle difference of about 16, so that's about 4 jungle camps. And then in the bottom lane, JackeyLove, so consistent on this Senna, is actually 25 CS up over Gadget right now.
Yeah, again, very good Senna player.
Probably the best in the world.
Yeah, probably. We'll upgrade his
Manamune?
He will upgrade to the Manamune, rather, is what I was trying to say. You'll also notice that the Hex String has been picked up by Knight very early on. Makes a lot of sense when the main damage dealers you have to be worried about right now are Nomanz and Gadget. No major objectives are available, but UOL going to use their pushing mid to steal away some of these camps. And AHaHaCiK going to abandon his top side for the time being to try and deny a bit of farm away from Karsa. But you'll notice that Karsa also has a CS advantage of his own, while AHaHaCiK has been trying to make a lot of ganks happen and been proactive on the map. Karsa's been focusing on stealing away a couple camps and farming through his own jungle.
And another thing you'll notice is how much Santa's is not in bottom lane now. Because the Karthus can farm relatively safe from distance, he's actually teaming up a lot more with an AHaHaCiK and with Nomanz to make sure they can try and get some prio in the mid lane. AHaHaCiK lands the Q, looking for the kick, but the Devourer will stop him. And that's just the safety of Tahm Kench in the bottom lane there. Top Esports knowing their limits and knowing exactly where they can be in the lane to make sure they get out safely.
Karsa just hovering around the top side, and here comes the Lucian. Yeah,
yeah.
I was like, I don't think they're going to dive this yet. I feel like that the wave isn't stacked up enough, but this is the window that they were looking for. Of course, Knight should be spotted. Boss knows this is coming. Let's see if he can outplay.
Teleport immediately from Nomanz. Knight's going to get jumped on. The Hexagol made him, knocks him back as well. Nomanz looking for the damage, but there's the explosive cast, and Nomanz has to flash across the wall, and Boss just doesn't have the DPS to kill Knight. Cullen comes out, doesn't hit anyone, but Boss is bonked in the head by 369. The Rift Herald now used in the top lane, and that's going to be an awful amount of gold for Top Esports.
It's just not fair, Medic. How can they be that good at outplaying that situation? UOL are going to try and make this cross-map play. Let's see if they can at the very least get something back.
yuyanjia is the one who's first. Hook, Sonic Wave coming out. Depth charge used, but here's the counter TP as 369 can join this fray. He's gone back to base. He's got more items, and with the counter-strike, he doesn't quite get onto Santos. Santos has to burn the flash to escape.
I feel like he's rolled a 9. Medic.
Yep.
Like right now, Top Esports are just outplaying everything that UOL is trying to do, and the counterplay on that dive was just so clean because UOL knew this was coming. That control ward in the tri-bush, it gave them information that Top Esports was looking for this play up towards the top side of the map. But they knew that there was a TP available on Nomanz. They could actually try to outplay it here. Notice that Boss locks up Knight initially. They think we can burst him, but then watch Karsa here. Uses the knock-up, and they both immediately burst onto Nomanz. Then the Senna ultimate comes through. Nomanz thinks that he's getting the outplay onto Knight, but he doesn't even get to play the game. Meanwhile, Knight is just drawing attention away, and they're able to get the outplay. Just really smart target focus there to help turn that dive around.
Nomanz never got a chance to use his ultimate.
Oh, he didn't even use it?
Never got a chance to use the Unleashed Power because he was CC chained from the get-go. And those are the small things that really influence a game like this. You can see now Top Esports can step into this Unicorn's jungle. 800 gold from plates to 0. All of that taken in the top lane. And Top now have a almost 4,000 gold lead Vedius. Trinity Force complete on 369. You said he rolled a 9. If this isn't a 9, I'm blooming well scared for when he rolls a 9, right? I don't want to be the top lane on the other side of that.
What if this is a 6, you know what I mean?
Oh my goodness. Gadget now caught underneath the tower. yuyanjia coming across. JackeyLove using those long-range autos, and Knight just comes in for the double shot and the kill. yuyanjia didn't pop the thick skin, and maybe could have survived if he had.
He could have survived. He definitely could have there, so bit of a misplay, but ultimately TES get what they want, which is the kill onto Gadget. He's not going to have teleport available to him, which means that JackeyLove can push this wave underneath the tower. Is he going to play for the tower, or is he going to look to reset? Let's have a look. Looks like that the tower is his objective, as he knows that UOL are on the top side of the map.
And Karsa is able to go and get this Dragon to stop any possibility of Unicorns stacking those up. Soul Point so long away now for the Unicorns. And I think this is kind of the expectation for this game, where Unicorns had a good few forays. They won a few battles, but the war of attrition has very much been won so far by Top Esports, and it's going to be so hard for the Unicorns now at a deficit to find avenues to approach this game.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to say that UOL have a scaling advantage, I feel like given the power of 369 having the edge in this matchup now, it's going to be so much harder for him to be stopped in a side lane. You then have to deal with Knight on the other side lane, who no one can really answer outside of maybe the Camille and Syndra holding him. On top of that, you'd say, well, maybe Gadget could be the late game insurance. Like, maybe, but you've also then got JackeyLove on the Senna, who kind of has infinite scaling, you know what I'm talking about? And because of how aggressive he is on the champion, he reaches those points much later as the engage comes in from Karsa.
And all it takes is a single misstep. Like, AHaHaCiK thought he was safe. He's got ward jump. He can try and get out. And immediately he's just burst down. Karsa with the flash engage. And there is just nothing you can do about that apart from not be in your own jungle.
The aggression is not slowing down. yuyanjia needs to be careful because he has no flash. But with the cover of Knight, he's going to be able to walk away to safety. JackeyLove continuing to pressure onto this mid-tier one. Going to take it down to half. Meanwhile, 369, I believe he is currently doing the Rift Herald by himself. And we'll just wait for Karsa to bop on by, smite that one away, and Top Esports find themselves with another objective.
And Just becomes harder and harder every moment for the Unicorns of Love. Top Esports, though, showing us their caliber, showing us a little bit of class so far this game. As you said, JackeyLove stacking up, has the Yumu's Ghostblade complete now, also at 29 stacks, so has already got that first upgrade on the Senna.
It's the fact that he has 168 CS at 16 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yep.
Like that, you don't see many Sennas doing that. Like, it's typically much harder to last it, of course, because you have that, you know, locked-in auto-attack speed. Like, generally, it's generally harder to play her in the AD carry position, but Jackie just does it flawlessly. It's always a treat. Of course, he's gotten the champion every single game in group stages so far. We haven't even gotten to see him on some of his other champs, and I'm sure that will be a pleasure as well. You can see that the large amount of gold sits on Knight. He's been able to pick up a fair number of plates, and he's been doing very well in the 1v1.
I think you can just say a large amount of gold sits on Top Esports videos. Like,
Correct.
4 of the top 5 players in this game are Top Esports players, and there is a gap between the jungler and the mid laner of 400 gold.
yuyanjia really letting the side down.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Come on.
Man, this is supports for you, okay? Underappreciated as per usual.
You mean just baggage? That's what you mean? Just sitting at the bottom?
He did nothing. He just kept his AD carry completely safe in the lane, made sure no one could ever kill him. Supports. Anyway, Top Esports going to use the Rift in the mid lane here to try and batter down this tier 1. It goes. And now they have a 5,000 gold lead. 2 minutes on the next Drake if they want to set up for that, but they can just keep this ball rolling and keep Shirley smacking into these turrets for at least one more. Unicorns of Love need to be careful because the explosive cask is available for Karsa, and we've already shown how precise he can be with that. Nomanz, you've overstacked. Oh, he dodges it just to the side. Karsa puts it a little bit too far behind. The Unicorns of Love now looking to engage on 369. Sonic Wave flashed away from Top Esports, overstepped just a tad.
Yes, they certainly do. Now, this is a common trait with Top Esports. They are very much about pushing to the limits of going for objectives, whether it be Drakes, Heralds, Towers. They'll always make sure that they'll go as far as they possibly can until they recognize, okay, we've pushed it a little bit too far, then they'll look to disengage. There's another example, 369, he should be safe though. I
mean, he might just be able to win this. The depth shot's gonna lock him up. There's the counter-strike. He dives onto AHaHaCiK and he just kills him. 369 still trading. Gadget trying to land the lay waste. Can't do it. It's a double for 369. It's 6-12-18 there in the top lane as Top Esports find 2 in a 1v4.
I don't think that UOL realized that they rolled a 1 looking to make that play happen because, man, 369, the power of this Jax with the Trinity Force completed as well. And AHaHaCiK thought that he and the Nautilus would be enough combined with Gadget showing up to be able to get that kill, but he just bought so much time. Then the Senna ultimate came through and that gave him just enough shielding to be able to get that additional kill as well. And off the back of that, Knight is going to secure a tier 2 in the bot lane as well. Beautiful stuff from the top laner of Top Esports.
But he was a little bit greedy going for the Scuttle Crab, which is why he was slightly out of position in the first place. TP coming in behind here is 369. Well, he can smell blood in the water, as can the rest of Top Esports. Might be gifted over to JackeyLove. It is, as he secures the kill. Gadget trading here onto Knight. Exhaust goes down onto the Lucian, but he can just dash away. And Wall of Pain will connect. Knight has a blast cone here, so this is going to be just chip damage down as the Baron has been started up by Top. And AHaHaCiK starting his red buff and realizes perhaps Top Esports are on the major objective. Yuyanjia's going to gobble away the red. Don't need that Devour for saving your teammates or anything as the fight goes on. No! 369 steals it. And now perhaps Unicorns of Love realize that Top Esports are in the Baron pit. They gave the game away just a tad there, Vedius, as the Unicorns of Love come across and Top Esports disengage the Baron.
Oh my word, the red buff was just BM Top Esports, come on. The ulti going to come through from Karsa, they're going to push in mid. I think that they should look to reset right now, or maybe even go for the Drake rather, because forcing that Baron very early on is of course very dangerous. The death time is still quite short. UOL in a position to answer and maybe come back into this game if they could steal that one away, but that option will not be given to them.
I mean, I think they had it if they didn't go for the red buff, I'll be honest. I think if they didn't have 369 jump over there, it was just yuyanjia messing around with AHaHaCiK, they could have taken it. The Wall of Pain coming down here in the mid lane as the Dragon goes across towards Top Esports. yuyanjia's actually stepping forward. Gadget exhausted. Gadget's just dead. Does have the Requiem, but there's no real lasting damage yet on top. yuyanjia's the one caught out. Thick Skin, not hot. Dredgeline coming out as well as JackeyLove tries to turn the damage back around. Knight now dashing forward. Last Embrace gonna hit onto Santos, but Boss dives in with a Hexagon Ultimatum. Gets one, gets a double. JackeyLove turns it back around. JackeyLove survived through the Unleashed power, and here comes the Dawning Shadow as 369 dives onto the backline. Only Santos and AHaHaCiK left alive. 369 gets one, and JackeyLove's looking for the second. 369 is going to chase down this jungler as quickly as he can.
I think this was a good window for UOL to actually punish Top Esports, because again, we see Top Esports trying to take more than they really should. They were taking mid farm and they were taking Drake at the same time, and they were split. And that was UOL's best opportunity to actually force a fight. They got a number of kills. I think they got a fair number of shutdowns. And again, you can see with the Jax in the bot lane, no teleport available on him, the Drake only just being completed. Initially, yes, while the Karthus does die, he still has his ultimate, so they know they can commit to the fight. It's at this point that I think UOL overstep. Yes, they end up trading 1-for-1. They should be pretty happy with this, but they want to commit. They get that kill on Tonight. Then JackeyLove answers back. He's forced to flash out. Really good interrupt there from Santos onto 369. But you can see that at the end of this fight, it is Top Esports that end up coming out ahead overall. So, good attempt from UOL, execution not quite there, and it means the Top Esports still sit in control.
And that's one of the things I love about the Unicorns of Love is, even if they're going to go down, they go down kicking and screaming. They will take these fights. They will look for these plays. They are still, 6,000 gold behind in this game. Death Dance is almost complete for 369 as Knight and Karsa look for Boss in the top lane. Karsa's popped the Predator. Boss pops the hook shot. But here comes Knight. Just needs those auto attacks. The Hextech Ultimatum has been used by Boss. Karsa able to pop the stopwatch. And Top Esports get another kill. But here's the secondary front of the fight. And we keep seeing Top do this. Santos engaged onto yuyanjia. And here comes AHaHaCiK trying to dive onto JackeyLove. The Sonic Wave, not quite enough damage. He dashes forward with the safeguard. Santos now targeting the backline, but the shutdown comes down. And that's 2 quick kills. Here's 369 though. And he's not happy that you just killed his teammates. Another 2 goes over to Knight and Santos, the last man left standing. He is hoping for some way out of this, but 369 is having none of it.
UOL trying to make this game closer than it is, but it feels like that the gap is just too big. Top Esports are so insanely strong, and while I respect UOL kind of doing what they can, really, like just trying to force fights, trying to get shutdowns, trying to get XP by killing people who are a higher level than you, it's unfortunately not resulting in anything. And it is always 369 coming in at the end of these fights to clean things up. Top Esports now going to secure the Baron. All 5 members are going to get it as well. And now it's just a matter of time, unless UOL can make a huge miracle happen.
And of course you get the 1,500 gold straight away from the Baron, but I expect this Red Bull Baron power play to snowball away from Unicorns.
So, let's have a look back. We can see here JackeyLove also keeping yuyanjia safe, providing a lot of healing, and then unfortunately AHaHaCiK doesn't quite land the kick onto JackeyLove, so they can't kill him instantly, but he does get a big Q there, assisting him in getting that execute. You can see he got 800 gold on his back pocket, but unfortunately they already lost Boss in the top lane, so this numbers advantage was never going to be in their favor as 369 and Knight join the fray and help clean up the fight.
You see 369, Death Dance, Trinity Force complete. Also JackeyLove, Rapid Fire, Yumu's, Muova Mana fully stacked up.
It's just
He's got an extra BF sword. Infinity Edge now complete on Knight. This is a massive deficit to be in if you're Unicorns. 25 minutes in, 9,000 gold behind, a Baron buff still with 2 minutes remaining, and one of the best split pushes in the game storming up this bottom lane.
Being in, but they want to fight, not split push, Medic.
369's going in, immediately slow with the Wall of Pain. Santa's going to use the Dredge line to get himself back underneath this tower. And I'll be honest, that TP kind of sucked a little bit.
It was a power play, Medic.
What, for the tier 1 and tier 2 in the mid lane?
Well, they pushed in bot and they were like, let's try and get a fight here. Fortunately for UOL, they're able to disengage. But yes, not quite the most optimal TP we've ever seen. I'm honestly a little surprised. I thought they would hold on to it for a little bit longer because Top usually want to play through 2 lanes because Knight doesn't have the TP. But they're going to try and leverage JackeyLove's range to keep the poke coming through. Try and force UOL off the tower, but for the time being, UOL is standing firm. They're looking for a fight, 5v4.
Santos tried to get in there with the hook, but couldn't quite land on Tonight. The Scatter of the Weak goes wide as well, and once again, the hook just at the edge, not able to connect onto any of the Top Esports players, and now Top going to try and sync these waves. You can see the mid wave coming in. It's going to get that Baron buff enabled on it. 369 can rotate across, but Boss is actually going to dive on him. In the 1v1, I'm not sure you win. Gadget trying to put the Skittles down, the lay waste connecting. 369 forced away. Unicorns of Love losing their mid lane tier 3 as this happens. As Knight just chunks it down. Unicorns still standing firm for the moment, but 11,000 gold down. It's a very precarious position for them. Knight dives forward, exhausted straight away. The dredge line doesn't connect. Santos tries to get onto Knight, but there's the Devour, and immediately the Lucian spat back out, and he goes straight for the kill. 1 down, 2 to follow as AHaHaCiK falls. The third goes down as Gadget is also deleted from Summoner's Rift. Boss is flashing in, will land the kick to the back of the Lucian to get a counter kill for the Unicorns, but it's only Nomanz and Boss left alive.
Well, the Baron buff is about to run out. Top Esports can make their way towards the Dragon off of this, or will they? Will they do it?
You got 2 seconds. It's more than enough time.
Oh,
to
actually,
take this
well, okay.
down.
So the bigger thing is that there's still 15 seconds left on UOL. Okay, I didn't appreciate that. I thought that they would actually just go straight for the Drake. You know what? They're going to take the tower. They're going to take the... But this is just like very classic Top Esports. They always just take that little bit more, you know? And they're just like, you know what? Maybe it is a little greedy to take this, but we're going to take it anyway. Here we see Knight. I really like this play from Knight, largely because he knows he has the mobility and the protection from yuyanjia as well, so that even if UOL is able to answer back, he's able to come out ahead and safely. He doesn't get the Camille ultimate, the Senna ultimate to keep him alive during the use of the Karthus ult.
So Santos and AHaHaCiK believe they have caught JackeyLove. What they don't realize is the only ambulance being called is for them, but here goes AHaHaCiK diving forward. JackeyLove should be able to get away, and AHaHaCiK still chasing him. 369 very low, and there's the shutdown Unicorns. I thought they'd lost the fight, I thought they'd caught them out, but instead, Top Esports only able to trade a 1-for-1 in that battle.
Who's the ambulance actually for, Medic? Huh?
I can't.
And 369.
Who knows? Yeah, it was for 369.
But this is the greed that I was talking about, by the way. They also took the Mountain Drake, and then the recalls got delayed. Nomanz, that's a moral victory right there. Yep. Stealing away the Scuttle Crab will allow Gadget to funnel a couple more creeps and farm into his back pocket. Of course, at this gold deficit, it's still very difficult for UOL to be able to turn this one around. But yeah, again, because they went for so many objectives, their recalls end up getting delayed. UOL recognize this, and they're able to actually find a pretty successful fight. JackeyLove misses the root, which then gives time for Santa to just soak up more damage. Nomanz then gets a big stun off of damage, and while they're not quite able to kill JackeyLove, they're able to get the kill down onto 369, and even use this flash at the back end of that as well. Ends up being 2-for-1 in favor of UOL, and given the position that they're in,
yeah,
they're going to be pretty happy with that.
Definitely take those in that sort of situation. JackeyLove just pinged over 60 stacks now, so has that enhanced range. Is in such a powerful position. Infinity, she's 4 items on this Senna. Compare that to Gadget, who is sitting on a measly 2. Liandry's and Luden's very powerful items on the Karthus, but isn't going to be outputting that pure DPS that you want. You're looking for a death cap, or maybe actually even a Void Staff coming up next, it seems, with him having a blasting one in his inventory.
10k gold deficit right now. Top Esports, they know that the bot inhibitor is exposed, and the teleport is coming back up for 369. So I think that they can actually just leave him bot, while the rest of Top Esports play around the Baron that's going to be spawning in 15 as they're going to look for picks. But good ward there from Santas, not going to get baited in. But this is also the danger. They can't really walk into their half of the jungle because it does not belong to them anymore. They do need to clear out this mid wave. JackeyLove going to go catch that one right now. And this is the best opportunity that UOL will have to be able to move into their jungle, as Top Esports are a little split. But now that window is gone, as Knight and JackeyLove will look to regroup with their support jungle duo.
And they're going to start up the Baron straight away. 369 pushing in that bot lane. As you said, Vedius, he can stay down there until his team starts to fight. Has the teleport, can rejoin this fray at any moment. Actually looking for a flank position here. yuyanjia on the front line. Top Esports deciding to disengage. 369's in a good position to find the back line of the Unicorn.
Keep pushing bot though, Medic. I don't know.
He should.
They are really committed to fighting this fight. But I'm like, you could just keep pushing bot, because then the moment UOL split up, you can TP in. Like,
but which gives more gold? A minion kill or a champion kill?
I mean, true. That is a great point. Top Esports, they know exactly where Unicorns of Love are. Root going to come out from JackeyLove. Oh, 369 is now here.
Boss is down in the bottom lane. So 369 being here is just a little bit of bouncer duty for him. AHaHaCiK's trying to get in, but there is the explosive cast. AHaHaCiK uses the kick to try and disengage. 369 manages to do it, but the last embrace is going to hit onto Santos, and he is just swept off the face of Summoner's Rift by JackeyLove. Easy enough kill for Top Esports. yuyanjia going in, all on his lonesome, but Nomanz and Gadget respecting the follow-up of Top.
Yes, and while I think UOL have been willing to skirmish Abdon for a lot of fights, this could be, never mind. I think that they've not really been able to compete with top esports. Every small mistake that they've made, top esports have been very quick to punish dramatically. And honestly, like, while I think their draft was creative, I think the Senna, the ultimate, actually does a great job of countering the Karthus ultimate, something that we didn't really talk about, but we've been seeing it multiple times throughout these fights. The cross-map power that JackeyLove's ultimate does provide has been instrumental in allowing top esports to come out ahead with the lead that they currently have. Now 12k gold lead, they're knocking on the Nexus doors. UOL have one last ditch effort.
There goes Karsa, and there goes Nomanz. Was found in Nomanz land there by top esports. The second kill comes down as Gadget is removed. And even through the Requiem, JackeyLove's able to survive in the stomach of yuyanjia, and now the re-engage coming out from an AHaHaCiK trying to get onto Knight. Does manage to take one, but 369 is chasing Unicorns back onto their fountain. Top esports 3-0 in their first 3 games, and they haven't even looked close. Vetty is still undefeated as Boss dives in, but Top should just be able to close this one out. The Nexus will fall after they get their final kill. And top esports go into the second round robin undefeated.
Very impressive showing from top. And again, I loved what we saw from UOL at the very early game. And AHaHaCiK looking for early ganks on the Lucian. He was attacking top lane, he was attacking bot lane. We saw roams with Santas as well, but they couldn't quite convert that into big enough leads. They couldn't shut down the 2v2 in the bot side of the map. They could not stop 369. And it meant that the moment top esports were able to find that one opportunity, in particular in the top lane with that dive, that's where the game really started to fall apart for the Unicorns of Love. So while there was a lot of fighting, it felt like the top esports were pretty much in control throughout the entire game.
Definitely agree with you there, Vedius, and they've seemed in control through the majority of their games. I can only really think back to the mistake they made in top lane against DRX after they secured Baron, where they looked a little bit flimsy, but even then, they seem to have everything in their hands.
And I will say, like, even in this game, we got to see some of the weaknesses of top esports. I think that they are not a flawless team. Of course, they are very talented, and they are stacked to the brim with ability to win games, but we saw them overextend for a couple of other objectives. It's what they like to do. They did a lot during the finals as well, and they always just like to test. They're like, oh, are you going to punish us for this? Are you going to challenge us for this? So they do make those mistakes, but you have to be willing to punish them, and that's part of what is so challenging, because even if you can, there's still a very aggressive team that will fight you to the death.
And one of those very aggressive players is our Oppo player of the game, 369. You said it, Vetty, near the start. Feels like he rolled a 9 in this game.
Yeah, he certainly did. Really good awareness in this 2 versus 1 in particular to know that he has a huge level advantage and he can beat the Lee Sin in the 1 versus 1. And then again with this dive, I think he and Karsa, their target selection was fantastic. They know exactly who to focus down, both piling onto Nomanz, not giving him that opportunity to play and getting that quick kill. This is really where the game swung in favor of top esports, and 369 became an unkillable monster, and we're going to get to see another great outplay from him. The problem is that this duo doesn't have the damage. Well, actually, they have a lot of damage, but they can't kill him fast enough, and then Gadget shows up, and he's like, wait, I can't land any skill shots, and that ultimate from Senna as well, just helping him buy so much time. Beautiful stuff from 369. Very well done and very impressive Jack's game from him today.
It really was. Worlds 2020, though, continues after the break where the LEC's Fnatic will load onto the Rift opposite LCK's Gen G.
You need to do
thank you for joining me. Clid, you just won against TSM 2-0 here in your group. So I want to ask about the early game first. TSM was focused on kills, you were focused on objectives. Tell me about the early game and the decisions you made there.
네, 우선은 TSM 잡아내면서 2연승 이어가고 있는데 이제 경기 초반의 운영에 대해서 여쭤보고 싶습니다. TSM은 킬에 많이 집중하는 모습을 보여줬는데 클리드 선수는 오브젝트 위주로 운영을 하셨습니다. 초반에 그런 판단 어떻게 내리셨나요?
일단 좀 약간 이게 표현이 그럴 수도 있겠지만 영양가 없는 킬이었어가지고 저희한테는 좀 더 약간 이득으로 많이 긍정적인 영향을 줬어가지고 그래서 아마 한편으로는 제 성장을 좀 더 집중할 수 있었고 오브젝트에도 좀 더 신경을 쓸 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Well, I'm not sure if I can put it this way, but I felt like those kills were actually empty calories. So, well, I was able, thanks to their kind of play style, I was able to farm more, get more objectives, and scale more.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They allowed you to play around the map. But okay, about you. You picked Lilia. I know it's a highly contested champion, but it doesn't have so much success in World so far. What do you need to make Lilia a good champion in drafts?
그러면 릴리아로 오늘 플레이하셨는데 사실 월즈에서 릴리아에 대한 픽률이나 등장 빈도는 굉장히 높은 데에 비해서 조금 성공은 그렇게 많이 보여주고 있지 못합니다. 릴리아가 조금 성공적인 픽이 되기 위해서는 조합적으로 어떤 부분을 신경 써야 되나요?
좀 약간 AD 비중이나 이런 CC기 방면에서 좀 채워줘야 될 부분이 많은 것 같고요. 그리고 이제 약간 앞에서 지켜줘야 될 앞라인 정도가 필요하면은 약간 성공적인 조합이라고 생각할 수 있을 것 같아요.
So Lilia definitely demands a lot of CC and attack damage from her teammates, and also she needs a front line. And with all those come together, I think it's a successful draft.
And it was a successful draft for you guys, at least here at Worlds, because it's the first time the champion gets a win. But let's take a step back here and focus on Group C. Talking to other players from the group, they told me that anything could happen. This group is very open. So what do you think about Group C, and how do you expect things to go in the end?
그러면 그룹 C조에 대해서 여쭤보고 싶은데 정말 많은 사람들이 C조에서는 무슨 일이든 일어날 수 있다. 결과를 예측하기 어렵다라고 많이 말하셨는데 본인 스스로 예측하는 결과는 어떻게 되나요?
일단 젠지가 1등일 것 같고요. 그리고 이제 앞으로의 경기를 좀 다른 팀들을 지켜봐야 될 것 같은데 변수가 없는 이상은 젠지가 1등일 것 같아요.
I'll say Genji will be the first seed, and I'll have to watch how the remaining teams play. But for sure, I want to say Genji will be the first seed.
All right, thank you very much, Clid, and thank you, Jisan, for the interview.
Thank you very much, Laura and Clid, and welcome to the State Farm Analyst Zone. And I think many will follow Clid there if he says, I think Genji is going to be the first seed. Although it is kind of up in the air in this group, the battle for Group C you see there. And we'll have to see if Genji can close out the first round robin of the group stage. 3-0, 2-0 so far. And when we talked at the beginning of the day, we talked about this group being the closest on paper. But if you think about some of the games and a lot of the games that Genji had in Korea, you might think it's actually a done deal for Genji. But do you think we've seen a lot of that Genji here at Worlds yet, Yamato?
I think they're slowly warming up. I think the second game looked better than the first, and I think that's the story of everyone in this group. Everyone is just trying to figure out their identity and how they want to play. I just feel like Genji have a head start because individually they are just so strong.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the rest of the group, obviously it's Fnatic, LGD, and TSM. We talked at the top of the day that this feels like a race to figure out what your identity is. And while I agree with Yamato that Genji kind of have a head start there, and they are slowly kind of warming up into the tournament, this is also what I'm talking about in like kind of the difference between DRX, Genji, and then the gap between them and Damwon, and how powerful they look over in Group B. And so who will demand in Group C is just kind of who figures out this is what we're playing, this is who we're carrying through, and we're doing it every single time consistently. And now we're diving into Group C with the two last matches of the first round robin, so we'll know more. First up is Genji versus Fnatic. When we look at Fnatic, we've seen a couple of different things from them, but I think notably we're thinking back to that game versus LGD specifically, where we had some questions about the draft, for instance. How do we feel about Fnatic, especially coming into this day, now that they had time to review that?
It's so strange because I felt like they gave up all the comfort picks for LGD. They were very comfortable in that draft, and on the other side, Fnatic just kind of picked champions they've been spamming a lot in solo queue almost. There was no kind of fluidity between them. There was no game plan. They had champions full AD. Jhin couldn't kill tanks. And on LGD side, we have champions that we've seen for them so many times. And I feel like Fnatic need to recognize that these games in this group have gone a lot slower, and they just focused so hard on the early, and it just didn't matter at all in the end.
There's two things, especially as we have the draft on the lower part of your screen. I don't like it whenever people try to take Graves into Ornn. I think it's really hard to kill the Ornn there. So if they're going to put high priority on Graves, then Fnatic need to recognize if Selfmade's going to be our carry on this champion, then we need to deny the Ornn. If that means that it's giving it to Bwipo's hands or outright banning it, that's what you need to decide on. I think what Fnatic were trying to do with this draft is figure out if they could get around the Ornn, if they could figure out how to beat it with the things like that set pick. We talked about it yesterday, and I don't think the experiment worked out, but I would be very surprised to see them make the same mistake again. Mithy said in an interview that the quarantine basically gave them so much time for preparation, and I feel like Fnatic drafts have been better this year than maybe years previous. So I hope that we continue to see this evolution and them tighten things up.
What I found interesting, Yamato, is that you talk about this group has been a bit slower than expected, so they shouldn't be, you know, so focused on drafting something that can really run away with the early game. But what's going on there? Okay, people didn't see it on stream, but the camera for Selfmade was all over the place. Maybe he's going to give us some chaotic playstyles.
He's like, I have fallen, I cannot get up, please.
Premonition there. But Yamato, when we look at Gen G and the LCK, you know, this moniker of the LCK is slow, is completely gone, and Gen G is one of the fastest teams in the LCK in the early game who can really run over you. So don't you then run into the risk if you do draft for mid to late game that you have a problem when you jump on the rift with Gen G?
Yeah, the Gen G that looked the strongest in the LCK was the one that had this cookie cutter way of playing the game. Mid prio into bottom dive, and then eventually they just took over the game and there was no turning back because they just didn't give you any opportunities. I think after that best of 5 against DRX, they've tried to change it up a bit, and I think this is also showing in the group stage.
I also think it's, if Gen G can take that style and carry it over onto the world stage, bot lane doesn't mean as much in this tournament as it previously did, and I think that takes a ton of power away from Gen G. If they can figure out how to make Ruler relevant in every single game, then Gen G look like a monster themselves because Ruler is so talented. But this is my concern for this team moving on to this meta, is that a bot lane dive into carrying through bot lane only works on specific champions. If it's Ashe and Senna shaking hands, then Gen G, I feel like, lose a lot of their steam.
That's so interesting. When we look at the bot lane, of course, Ruler and Reckless are respective pillars for their organizations. That's going to be a fantastic matchup, but it may not mean that much in the context of the meta. And just to button it up in terms of stake setting, we said the battle of Group C. This is going to be so important. If Fnatic, if you are thinking of contesting even for first, but especially getting out, this would be such a good win to pick up.
I think it's not only for the points, but just showing that you figured out how you want to approach the next games, figuring out your identity, because the Evelyn ban landed and all of a sudden Fnatic looked very, very strange. This is a very big proving moment for Fnatic.
All right, let's see what happens. The stage is set for a huge LCK versus LEC clash as Fnatic and Gen G hit the rift just after this.
Oh, level 6!
Level 6. Sky Splitter's available. Stormbringer, does he bring the noise? Yes, he does! The flash chomp down! Bwipo standing tall on that matchup. And Ender, you called it. The Sneak Baron, the map play, it's a different look from the regional play.
BDD punches him to death. The Zillion's down Biofrost, and next on the menu is the Mystic finds its mark, but it's a double for Ruler, and Gen G have broken this game wide open and are going to go 2-0 up in their group.